Space Coconut.
Okay, before I talk about the unlocking of past event items, I want to address a common complaint about the content of this channel that I read in the comments on a regular basis. If you're not interested and just want to get to the topic of the video, go ahead and skip to the timestamp I've listed below. Now, for those of you who care, I don't hate Dead by Daylight, I don't hate the devs, and I'm not interested in anyone losing their jobs at the company. I'm interested in the game being everything it can be because I enjoy it so much. Let me ask you folks freaking out on my focus on the negative aspects of the game. What other content creator talks about the many issues in the game outside of stream conversations? The majority of creators I follow limit their content to meme and funny builds or focus on simple gameplay, and others create content on upcoming features and news about the game. While those creators definitely have enough experience in the game to see the flaws in the game, none of them seem to create content to cover such issues. This is where I come in. I love this game, and I want it to be much more successful than it currently is. I know the devs are capable of creating interesting and functional mechanics in the game. I mean, they created the endgame collapse, and if my memory serves me right, there were no flaws in the system when it was released. It worked just fine without any bugs in that system, and the system itself eliminated the much despised hatch standoff and forced survivors out of the match, preventing them from taking games hostage by simply not leaving. Of course, there were probably other bugs that came out at the same time, but that's really to be expected for any patch. This is one of the times the devs have attempted to fix a long-standing issue that players had with the game and successfully fixed it with a very big change. The recent map changes can be considered to be one of those big balance changes that greatly improved an aspect of the game. Smaller changes like the Hag and Trapper trap changes were great. The much anticipated Wraith Cube was a disappointment because core issues weren't addressed or seemingly ignored by the devs. The perk overhaul was another change that helped the game along with the palette change that removed the palette teleport. More than anything, this proved to me and everyone else that the devs were capable of fixing a broken part of the game without rage-inducing bugs, and even created an entire system to do so. This is the standard that I hold the devs to because we know they're a capable team. When we get lackluster perks, uninspired killers like the Legion, badly implemented changes, and seemingly endless sound issues layered in with deliberate design decisions that don't make sense to longtime players, especially after they've had years to learn the ins and outs of the game and learn from past design mistakes, I get frustrated because they're better than that. And I don't understand what goes through their heads when they look at the feedback forums. In those moments and those situations, it feels as though concerns are being ignored in favor of decisions that don't make sense. The recent statement about Clown being underpowered is a pretty good example. Many experienced players who believe that Clown needs some improvement felt slighted by this statement. I was definitely one of them. Hearing a statement like that from a dev sounds like a dev who doesn't understand what the majority of the player base feels and doesn't care. You add that to all the other issues that are currently happening on top of the negative things in the past, and you have a recipe for rage. This is why I make videos about the various negative issues in the game, because I want to see it improve. You can call it complaining. You can say I should quit because I hate the game, but the truth is that I want to see the game be the best it can be. So much so that I'll brutally point out every negative issue that should be talked about, even if the entire community hates me for it. So, with that unnecessarily long character defense out of the way, let's talk about this cosmetic nonsense. Yesterday, as I'm writing this, the devs decided to unlock 4 specific event-exclusive cosmetics for everyone. The reason for this was because they couldn't determine who earned the items in the event and couldn't return those items to everyone who lost them. So they simply unlocked them for everyone. Here's the announcement. We have made a decision to unlock the following cosmetics for all players on PC and console. While we do understand that some players may feel disappointed by having us award these items to people who may not have taken part in these events, we believe that we do this in the community's best interests. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because I was actually present at the event, and actually earning a cosmetic, regardless of how easy it was to earn, gives it more value, meaning, and sentimentality. It becomes a symbol of something small we achieved during a short window of time, and also a symbol of how long we've been playing the game. Simply giving it away to everyone now removes some of that value. Now, I can understand giving away the cosmetic to everyone because people who legitimately earned it lost it. It's a perfectly reasonable solution to the problem. I could simply let it go at this point, because it's not a really big deal. But unfortunately, there's another problem: legacy cosmetics. Like event-exclusive cosmetics, legacy cosmetics were exclusively available during a short period of time. Some players lost their legacy items due to a bug, the same bug that caused the loss of event items, and the devs have been unable to return those cosmetics to those who lost them. So why don't the devs simply give everyone the legacy cosmetics in this case? Let's go back to their statement. The difference between the legacy items and the event items is that legacy was earned before a major rework of the Bloodweb system. To award legacy to the rest of the community would severely alienate and undermine that part of the community that has been with us since 2016. We are all too aware that users who earned legacy and suffered a loss of progress will be incredibly disappointed by this news. To those users, we offer our deepest apologies and hope you understand why this decision has been made. Because of the Bloodweb rework. It was meant as a reward for the players who went through that grind before the change. In my case, I brought Wraith all the way up to Prestige 1 before the change, but I never actually hit the button. I never grinded past that point because I thought it was a waste of time to do so for some bloody clothing. Joke's on me, right? This is actually what drove me to Prestige 3 all my killers from that day forward. That's fine, and it's not a big deal. I've lived on without Legacy since its release, but to not award Legacy cosmetics to everyone in order to restore them to people who legitimately earned them and lost them is a poor decision on the devs' part, mainly because of the inconsistency of the reasoning for the decision, because the exact same logic can be applied to all sets of cosmetics. If the devs want to return lost event cosmetics to players who earned them, they should do so. They should do so for everyone, and not an elite select few. However, the devs will do no such thing. Their stubbornness on various matters similar to this one are disingenuous to their reasoning. We have no idea how many people earned and then lost their legacy cosmetics, and the devs refuse to restore them to those people by releasing them to everyone, because legacy is special to those who earned it, unlike event cosmetics that are special to those who earned them. Peanuts wrote this: "It's not a matter of prioritizing newer players over older players. It's actually quite the opposite. Back then, the way event cosmetics were stored were much less secure than recent events, and it made them susceptible to loss of progress, the reason why we needed to return them to people in the first place. We originally decided to return them only to the people who had earned them, specifically to not alienate longtime players who had worked for them. Despite our best efforts, there were people missing them who should have received them and didn't. The data we had at the time was not robust enough to catch everyone. So in short, some of the people who did work for and earned them didn't receive their cosmetics back, and there was nothing we can do for them. Those longtime players were out of luck." The idea of not alienating longtime players ended up alienating those longtime players. It's unfortunate, yes, but leaving those players behind is not an option. This is the fairest way we can handle the situation. This problem shouldn't be a problem for future events, as the way we store rewards now is much more secure. Now, this exact reason for the decision applies to legacy items as well as event items, but they won't restore legacy items to people who lost them. So those longtime players, even longer than some of those who lost event cosmetics, are out of luck. And the idea of not alienating longtime players is a complete failure. But what else is new? The devs like to pick and choose what rules apply to what group of people, and the rest of us outside of those groups get to deal with their decisions. I mean, who needs colorblind options as long as the majority of players can play the game just fine, am I right? People with sight issues can just focus on using the in-game sounds to track their surroundings because those are working as intended. In all seriousness, the devs should really let go of the legacy restrictions if they're going to unlock past events items for everyone. It's simply the fairest option. Choosing to do so keeps an element of elitism in the game that isn't necessary to hold on to. This is my thought on the matter. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't really matter. The devs like to ignore community feedback, as we all know, and they'll continue to do whatever they want, since so few people call out their BS. But hey, that's why you're here on this channel, because we like to hold the devs accountable for their poor decisions in order to improve this game that we hate to love and love to hate. If you'd like Legacy to be unlocked for everyone, hit that like button. Follow me on Twitch if you want to see an Elite Hag gameplay every Saturday, and join the Discord to help become part of the community. Until next time, I'll see you in the fog.